Hey everybody, today is Saturday, June 27th, 2026, and you're listening to the While We Still Can podcast, where we talk about you know what, at this point in time we talk about whatever we want. Just whatever's on our minds. It could be
Which, you
international news, it could be local, it could be anything. You just never
I
know.
just I want to let everybody know that I would not choose to have Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't. But apparently the malignant narcissist is taking over everything and I can't just sit by and let it go. But now I think he did say that we are a Christian nation officially now. So, that's going to save us, guys. The Bibles are back in the school I think in Texas. They got to read them now in the school. But I wonder if it says exactly which Bible.
It's a good question, Tina.
Oh, Lord, Lord Christ, Savior, God, I
There you
need
go. You
communion.
checked the
I
box.
know.
Way to go.
I did. I did. I'm going. I'm going. Well, our friend Tony's back again,
Tony, internet
and
sleuth extraordinaire. Every week it's
he
some new, like,
It doesn't,
yeah.
at some point, I do, like I said, my little selfie videos that I just kind
Mm-hmm.
of explain what's going on day to day here and there. That eventually I'll share in the future because a lot of behind the scenes stuff I just can't share for
Right.
various reasons. Some of it's just sensational and unnecessary, and other stuff is it's just more information needs to come down the line before it's relevant
Yeah.
or valid. But
And part of it's because people trust you with things and say, "Please don't share this," and you're a good person that doesn't share it.
yeah, exactly. And
well, it goes back to us like you can watch the influencer thing happen and they get a bunch of followers and then they're making money, and once they start making money people shy away because it's like who's giving you the money and why are they giving you the money? Are they giving you the narrative? And we see that with the right wing stuff all of the time. They have signal group chats, and like I said again, we are doing this from the kindness of our own heart and our bank accounts, okay?
Did you guys
So
see not too long ago? I don't even like give her space to remember her name in my brain. Who's the girl that was like anti-trans? She came in fifth in a swimming race once and pissed off forever after more.
Riley get
Did you
yeah.
see where she was getting interviewed and she's like, "Okay, what am I supposed to talk about? Like, what's my opinion again? You know,
Yeah.
like, come on,
well,
come
Yeah.
on."
I think we can see also the genesis of what we have done and been able to have an impact on just from when we started talking amongst ourselves. I mean, I was just a guy online who had spent a lot of time investigating a number of things that popped on your radar. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I posted something yesterday or the day before. There's been, obviously the Amanda and Paulo stuff is very sensational and should be, you know, national news,
Mm-hmm.
breaking news in some cases in terms of the corruption and everything that's going on with it. But long before that, I had taken deep dives into things that had placed me on the radar of some very bad people as well. And I posted something yesterday saying, there's three main stories that I've covered extensively and been directly involved in one way or another that the mainstream media refuses to cover. And there are three very sensational stories that are very relevant. The first one is, we mentioned earlier Artem Klushin and his connections to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I had studied Artem for years to the extent that he actually engaged me several times online and spent 3 days targeting me once. And if you don't know who Artem is, look him up online. But he's a high profile Russian agent who was involved in Miss Universe, who was involved in election interference. He was in the Mueller report in Volume 5. And he is the architect of Elon's America Party. I have thousands of receipts showing that. And this is one of the calls I made to the FBI just because I wanted to be on somebody's radar. And no one has reached out to me. And it's not conspiracy. It's not anything. I put it all together. The next was, of course, the Charles McGonigal stuff, and the fact that his actions during his tenure as the special agent in charge of Russian counterintelligence in the New York field office, starting in October 2016, and during the events of October 2016 out of that field office that literally put us where we are today, with Trump having gained the presidency then, and the people connected to McGonigal, both personally and from nefarious relationships. I've been directly involved in that and have a lot of information, and I've shared that with uh, a journalist, and they've held the story for months now. I won't share the information on that, but that story's been held for a number of months. But there's a lot to that as well, which is very relevant. And then the last one, of course, is the Paulo and Amanda story. So, it's incredible that mainstream media, everybody, and they tag me all the time, Maddow, tag Maddow, and they're talking about me, or tag Lauren, but nothing ever comes of that, because, and
Right.
I have no doubt that they see this stuff.
It's not like they don't know. They're
Yeah.
just, for whatever reason, choosing not to discuss it. And maybe,
Well, and
Well,
the reason is,
yeah.
is what we're dealing with now. Is they're
Yeah.
all part of it. I mean, I hate to say that,
yes,
but that's
yes,
the
they
money thing
are.
that we were
Someone
just
is
talking about.
making money off of
Yes.
something at some point, whether it's a catch and kill, whether it's well, and you know what? I do want to point out last week we had that court case in Texas regarding those protesters that were at last
Yeah.
summer, the concentration camp, or
Mhm.
and there was like some people did break off of that protest, and there was some like rioty behavior, and a gun did get shot, and a cop got like shot in the shoulder. No one died, and I'm not saying that getting shot isn't a big deal, but I'm just saying, but there were what, I think 6 of them. I can't remember how many were on trial, but they got a combined over 450 years
Mhm.
federal charge, or in a federal prison. And I know they're not going to do all of them, but like, no one on the fucking Epstein files besides Ghislaine Maxwell, which she's
Right.
in like a hotel with a
Right.
dog, probably doing weird shit to the dog,
Or
allegedly.
emotional therapy type,
And yeah,
probably.
emotional therapy.
Yeah.
She's like MK Ultra in that dog.
Mhm.
But I'm sorry. But, okay, so we have, the 2 tiers of justice here. If you have money, you can buy your pardons, you can do all that. I actually was just reading, there's a girl that is tracking all the Trump pardons, and it's fucking crazy. But, I can understand people being afraid to speak out. But
Yeah.
again, we
Which
always
is by
go back to
design.
the poem. Yes, yeah, no, that's exactly what that ruling was. That was to scare anybody else. You thinking about protesting a concentration camp? I think not. And but that means that we cannot give into it, okay? And I've just been asking people. I'm like, listen, if I go to a camp, you gonna come get me? And they'll be like, that's not gonna happen. And I'm like, no, are you gonna come get me? And so I got a big line of people that think I'm crazy for even asking, but I got their word. And so I'm going to keep track, because they're threatening us, and the more that we give in, we know how bullies work. Like, we know this. And so the more that you, cuz we see with Tony, his cease and desist, Tony is still
Well,
here, okay?
Well,
last night I posted something about that. I said, given the fact that I got a cease and desist from Paulo and a demand letter from Trump and the First Lady, you know, I basically just put it out there to see what people had to say, and I said, should I sue? Because of we know what discovery would require, Jack Smith's Volume 2 and Epstein files, and of course, nothing's going to happen until they make another move towards me. But the reality is just like what Katie Fang just did, is she did what's right, or asking. But the thing
Yes.
is a lot, and it all circles back to the money. I said in the past, what's his name, Mike Caputo, threatened to sue me, but he said, no, I won't sue you because you don't have anything. And that's all it comes down to. Is there the threats to scare people into silence. And my whole thing is, I'm like, why do I need millions of dollars to protect myself from a corrupt administration?
Like, you're just literally, if you see something or know something, say something. I don't understand where that, like,
Yeah.
I have the biggest fucking mouth. I guess that's just what it is. But
Well, and talking about, you mentioned Ghislaine and a lot of stuff that's going on, circling back to what we're seeing now, is there's so much information that's been hidden intentionally, with the Epstein files and everything else. And now, they're even fighting the release of what Katie Fang won in court already. Um, but, people just need to be brave if they have this information. And for example, Amanda, realized that she has thousands of emails that Paulo had sent forwarded to her. And Becca had wrote the one long thread about the Terramar and 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 Paulo communicating about Terramar.
That got kicked off TikTok. I posted about that, and they fucking took that off for community violations. It was
Did
very
you did
weird.
you
Like that
appeal
ain't
it?
even. I did, but they actually put my account on like a hold.
Really? Oh
So
wow.
I just let it go. But it was very interesting that was like because I put some shit on there, and the skin lamp made it through. It was good, no violations. But or
Yeah, that's
like or
funny.
like Bubba, the Bubba email
Yeah.
made it through, no violations. But this one, I'm like, okay, Terramar, so there must be something there, and
Well,
the
and that's
UN
the
maybe. I don't know.
and there is. I mean, I started looking at some of the emails that she has shared, not only the Paulo and Ghislaine emails, but some of the other emails that Paulo had sent regarding Terramar to some of his friends. And one of the things I pointed out recently in my post is, you know, he basically sent it to somebody talking about, hey, join Terramar. This is, and he literally calls it a new country. Now, that may seem far fetched or a little weird, but if you put kind of the larger scale picture together and you realize that Ghislaine Maxwell was trying to get the UN to officially, but not officially, because that's how they work is through these shadows, grant her oversight essentially or some claim to the 64% of the oceans that are not claimed by any nation. Okay. Now, we've talked about this briefly before, but um, so in doing so, then she was selling these citizenships to Terramar. Uh, I don't know how much it costs, several $1,000s. I'm sure people could buy a plot of ocean, so they get a satellite plot of ocean that they can claim as their own in some way. Now, if this is something that was going to progress before they went to jail and all this other stuff happened and Terramar was disbanded and all of that, you have to think what were they leading towards in terms of creating this. And it got me thinking about how, we've got all of these characters, Jeffrey Epstein, all of these, international or these, people in our government now that have varying backgrounds, varying ethnic backgrounds, varying educational backgrounds, varying, other types of circumstances that put them on Trump's radar because as allies in a way now, but they're not necessarily, the Make America Great Again white people, so to say. They're, they're the Indian FBI director or the, that have joined this cause and embrace it in a way that we look at it as if they're white, but what got me thinking was this seems to be something that down the line, if they were able to create quote unquote a nation and they have this
Right.
new world order that they're trying to create in this new digital, this currency situation, and they're trying to get rid of the petrodollar and all this other stuff. In the larger scale of things, it seems as if they're not trying to create a white nation or, fix China or fix some of these other things or whatever they're saying, is they're trying to create an independent nation of sorts that allows them to control things in a way that nobody else can tell them otherwise. Because that,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
So money and power.
money and power. Yep.
they're
The only
creating
color
a
they see is
slave
green.
nation, essentially, right? Right. But then they don't want to do dollars anymore. They're going to do digital, so they're just going to make up some numbers on a screen. And it seems like they're just going to siphon all the money off from our government over to their little whatever this is and create. I, I feel like the only thing that you have to be in the administration is zero self-respect, but also like
Let me
eh,
I had a car with blacked out windows literally pull in front of my house right now, stop, and then reverse as I'm looking out
do you
my
need to
window.
go check it? Do you
What's
need
it
to go
look
check
like?
it?
What kind of
Go
car is
check
it?
it.
I mean, I live in an unusual spot. People get confused. Yeah, he's gone, but yeah, that's just odd. I don't want to. I'm not worried about anything. Randy worries more about the helicopters and stuff like that are flying around, but it's nothing. I'm always watching. Anyway, continue on. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. It's just so fucked up. Okay. Um well, it seems like they are running from getting out of trouble. And if the government functions, they would get in trouble. So
Sure,
they have to be in
they've
charge of the
admitted that.
government.
They've admitted
Yeah.
that so many
Well,
times.
yeah, Mike Johnson
from
yesterday.
yeah, Mike Johnson yesterday, who said,
I
"Can you
will
tell us what he
protect
said?"
everybody doing bad.
Yeah, he said that if the Democrats gain power, that they're gonna prosecute the president's family. He went on with a list of people that have committed documentable crimes in public. It's I when people think that this stuff is out there, it's like, no, just open up the newspaper and read what they've done. Think about the law and think about how that's not legal. It's it's not a stretch of the imagination to say that a lot of these folks legitimately belong in jail. That's not political prosecution if they've actually committed crimes. I don't understand why that's hard to figure out.
Well,
However, if you show up at a protest and you wind up with an extraordinary amount of jail time for doing something that should be protected by the First Amendment, and again, we weren't there, we didn't hear the court case, we don't know. But from an outside perspective, it feels a little off as far as justice goes.
to say the least. I mean, they're normalizing their behavior by talking about other people's bad behavior. They're
Yes.
Yeah.
deflecting in a way.
Gaslighting.
Yes,
Fuck.
it's absolutely.
What about what the classic whataboutism
what-
argument?
Then they're like, you don't have
Yeah.
any evidence. I'm like, I actually just sent it to you. They're like, I can't read. My name's Helen Keller. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so there. I think when you talk about the deep state or whatever they want to call it, there's a name. I haven't figured out what it is for this cabal, this transnational crime, all of this group of people. I just don't know what it is yet. But Paula was selling
Deplorables. The deplorables.
exactly, and I was just looking up stuff about those UN passports out of Dominica, just diving a little deeper about that. And I think it was 14,500. I have it on my phone. Just out of that small island nation of Dominica alone, were granted these passports. And there's 4 Caribbean nations, and this is a task for all the listeners. I would say look up who has passports from these small nations in the Caribbean: Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and St. something that's like a combined thing, and then I think it's St. Lucia's the last one. There's 4 nations that grant these UN passports by golden visa type when citizens by investment, and the investment is $200,000 minimum from each country. They actually, across all 4 nations, they agreed that they had a minimum of 200,000 because some of the nations were doing it for less.
Yeah. Which that's for these rich folks, that's not a lot of money.
No, it's a drop it's change in their pocket basically. But I think that was the minimum. I think the additional, because I had heard the number was closer to like 225 or 250. And I think that's where the 200 is like for the main, and the extra is for the pockets of people that are coordinating this, like Paulo Zampoli. And there's a guy named Aziz Debauch. Okay, Debaugh. He's out of Trinidad or something, but he's involved in all of this too. And I know directly he's Paulo's partner in doing these fraudulent things. And then when I looked up some of the names of these people, you've got Iranian criminals, high-profile Iranian criminals. You've got Middle Eastern criminals. You've got Russian criminals that had bought all these passports. So I looked into what does it grant people in terms of their...
Right, that's what I want to know. What's the benefit? Why would people want this?
So they get, for Dominica, for example, I believe it's 140 countries that they have automatic access to, visa access to. They're either able to travel to 140 different countries without having to do anything special. They just need this
Okay.
UN
Like
passport.
get visas or whatever. Yeah.
They don't need
Is the United States one of those typically?
typically yes, and
Okay.
so they're able to go to 140 different countries with, and they also have because of this diplomatic immunity status, they're granted some ease of travel in a way that one main thing that pointed out is they're able to travel with large amounts of money without
Okay.
it being detected.
I see.
Yes,
Rich people just have so many fucking like non rules. I
yes.
am so. We should be mad about this. All the people that are bootlicking right now, this is not fair, okay? This shit is like literally setting you up for more criming. Like it's like, hey, here you could totally do it if you wanted.
Well, exactly. And so if you've got, for example, a Russian oligarch who has a big plane who uh, happened to shadow the president at various airports and they say
Yeah.
money, that would beg to question the rules or the oversight that was in place allowing that plane to be on the runway at the same time as the president and what transactions may have occurred during that time. Because
Right.
I'm going to add one more thing. Uh, that same oligarch plane in August of 2016 secretly carried Donald Trump. I'm not sorry, Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, and Wendy Deng to Croatia on a secret trip, and that was during the election.
Well, and I remember everything kind of blends together, but it was a couple years ago when all of the I got it feels so long ago, the Mar-a-Lago files
Mm-hmm.
that were in there, and then there was a plane, a U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Administration plane parked next to a Russian. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember if it was an oligarch or if it was part of the government, but literally at the point where we could not find the boxes of files anymore.
Yes.
Okay. So it just like, these little coincidences. And then we know all of these, the archetype of these people committing all of these things. They don't give a shit. So
Mm-hmm.
it just seems like files illegally with Trump, plane next to Trump's plane, files gone.
That's why I keep coming back to, yeah, again, they broke the law. What are we going to do about it?
Well, and that's what I keep saying is we don't need more evidence. I'm tired of everybody screaming, I need a smoking gun or I need evidence or I
Right.
need Amanda
That
to
has
say
settled.
exactly
Yeah.
what I want to hear to take it all down.
Yeah.
What
Anything with
are
it.
you going to do when you get the evidence? So you're going to sit and go, oh, I knew it. Yay. Let me
Hmm.
post some more bullshit about it and congratulate myself on knowing it. No, do something about it. Be
Right.
active. Share information. Look at uh, Albania right now. Still,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still
Yep.
protesting.
they're still protesting the shit
Yeah.
out.
We need a little of that energy,
Yeah.
Like they can't come at us all if we're
Mhm.
all up
Okay.
protesting.
I do want to talk about, okay, again, we know that we are like one of the most propagandized world. We've been taught all of this shit about how great we are, and come to find out, maybe a lot of it's a lie. And that's really hard for a lot of people's egos to come to terms with. But like, just having the World Cup here and like there's all these funny videos on TikTok. It's actually great watching everybody come together, but there's all of these foreign, people visiting eating our food and they're
Yeah.
videoing themselves and they're like, "Oh my god, like this." And they're, and people from America are making videos back and they're like, "Yeah, you see why we're big backs, like, yeah, you're going to go home with diabetes, and how sick are we? Like, I mean, I really believe between, and I'm not going to go on like a big, our food's poisoned. I mean, it probably is, but, we're not healthy. We are mentally, take a shit ton of pharmaceuticals. Our capitalism has just totally ran us dry physically, emotionally, mentally. And I think You know, because people are seeing it now. They're like, these fucking data centers are bad. Like, depending on, I'm always disappointed on what was their catalyst, but they are seeing, but again, they've never had to think, what can I actually do? And so it's like everybody's at a different point in their learning of, oh shit, we were lied to, oh shit, we got to do something, why isn't anybody doing something, oh it's us, okay, now I have to formulate how to do that, but I got diabetes and I'm a big back. So, I don't know. So, but that's what I love about what we're doing here is like, okay, we're informing you, but like, look at us on the ground doing something, and it may not feel like you're doing enough, and it never does, but everybody does something, and then it does
Snowballs.
something bigger.
Well,
Yes.
I call it ground up movement. That's what we need to do is grind up. You were talking about the food, and we've all seen various TikToks, Instagrams, Facebook Reels, and stuff like that, where they show the old McDonald's burger that's been sitting for 20 years or something, and that's not hyperbole. That's the crazy thing
Right.
about it is it's not fake. And now you see like there's an ice cream video going around talking about ice cream not melting when you put it underwater anymore. But I have a very specific example myself that just recently we have a ant infestation right now at my house.
Me
It's
too. Oh,
yeah, it's
because of the
crazy.
water.
It's all
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
And, and we've been spraying, but it of course has to be documentally spraying and all that. But and so anything, if you leave a glass on the table for a couple hours, there's going to be ants in it. If you leave, any
Yeah.
food, there's going to be ants. Well, I had a chocolate bar from Aldi sitting on my side table for probably 3 days, and you know what? There were
They
no
were not interested.
Oh, interesting.
I threw it away. And I had read somewhere that, because of the cost of cocoa, and maybe somebody can verify this for us, is because of the cost of cocoa, the cocoa bean and all of that, um,
Mm,
that they're making synthetic chocolate now. So the chocolate that we're getting is not even made from
interesting.
real cocoa anymore. It's a synthetic product. And therefore,
Yeah, that's what I feel like they're going to try to do with our meat and everything.
yes,
And then you follow the money. Who owns the fucking fake meat company? So, but this is going to circle around to something else I wanted to talk about. So I've noticed they've really been covering a lot on Leon Black right now. Which what does Leon Black own? I know he's like
Yeah.
super rich.
all of
Remind all our listeners what Leon Black's situation is.
he owns Apollo, right? Is it
I
Apollo?
believe so. I believe so. But we're talking about the food. So he was a big time um, Epstein client, and he had to go in front of the oversight committee the other day, and he wouldn't answer any of the questions, so they subpoenaed him. But he's in the he's one of the ones in the files that Massey said are in there. And like
So
we
he
can
was
see it
under
very
oath?
clear.
He was under
What?
oath somehow,
No, he
speaking
wasn't
to.
under oath. I don't think they did either. I don't know
Okay.
how those. I don't think those initial
Oversight committees aren't
Yeah.
until they get subpoenaed, and then he wouldn't
and
answer
the
any of the questions, so they subpoenaed him and he got pissed and he marched
Okay.
out, whatever, baby bitch, you weren't acting like that when you were doing nasty shit. Maybe you were. But so they're on his ass. They've been covering him a lot. But while we're talking about food, guess who owned United Fruit Company?
black.
Which was the
Leon fucking Black.
predecessor of Chiquita, right? Which was involved with the
There's
CIA
a
situation in what was it, Nicaragua?
Hmm.
Is that right?
Okay, but you're seeing, okay, so these nefarious people that we keep seeing pop up doing nasty shit in Epstein files, making, like, claiming the ocean as their own, just making shit up. They are creative, I'll give them that. But like, they own our food. They own our pharmaceutical companies. And so it makes sense that they would fuck with the shit.
Let me. I just found. I looked up Liam Black, and Apollo Management Group is the group that he owns. He's the CEO of. But I
Is
didn't
that a hedge fund? Apollo Management?
say. Yeah, I think. I mean, it's co-founded in 1990 with Mark Rowan and Josh Harris. Uh, let's see. Apollo Management primarily invests in alternative assets. It's an asset management firm. Alternative assets. That sounds weird. But one thing I found, it says after Black had a long-term affair with the Russian model, uh, She threatened to make public allegations of sexual abuse unless he paid her $100 million. Epstein negotiated a 2015 NDA. So in 2015, Epstein negotiated an NDA for Black, under which he agreed to pay her $100,000 a month over 15 years, totaling $18 million. So everything circles back to Russia. All roads lead to Russia. So you have to figure there's probably not only, blackmail on him easily, and that's why he welcomed into this administration, everything, but, what other shit is he doing that we are unaware of? And you said Leon, and at first I thought you said Leo, and I have an email that Paulo sent to Leonardo DiCaprio.
Ooh, I hear that
Well,
he is a very big CIA asset agent.
He had something to do with art,
Mhm.
that he was compensated somehow with a piece of art or pieces of art, and that got embroiled in some of the Mueller report situation, I think, if I recall correctly.
Well, and we know that these
Yeah.
people use art and stuff like that
Yeah, it's a way
specifically
to
for
launder money.
trafficking because they
Yeah.
can, laundering and trafficking because they're not allowed to open the art. Like they can't mess with the shipping containers and stuff. And so every time I drive by a shipping container, I'm like, oh my God, there's fucking kids in there. Like there's kids in there.
If I just came across this the other day, and we were familiar with the situation, but it's exactly what we're talking about. So, Donald Trump bought that mansion, I forget what the Fleur de Maison, from Dmitry Ryblovev, who's the same guy that owns that plane we were talking about earlier.
Yep. The one that met with the Trump administration
Yes.
plane on the runway when the files disappeared, allegedly. Yeah.
So that's who Donald Trump sold that mansion to after having bought it for 40 million, and it was a thing, and it's there's emails.
That was the fight between Epstein and
That
him,
was
right?
the fight, because Epstein was supposed to be the one that was agreed to purchase the mansion, and then Trump last minute outbid him after some sort of agreement was already in place. So then that was caused a rift between Epstein and Trump. But the thing that I found was, so Epstein described, and I've said in multiple emails, that Epstein knew Trump better than anybody. I mean, he's very straightforward when he talks about Trump, how Trump is. It makes complete sense based off the things we know. And part of it was Trump not being wealthy. Part of it was Trump selling his name, but pretending he had all the assets and all this other stuff. But with this house purchase, what I didn't know is it was purchased under something called Trump LLC, one of Trump's LLCs. But it seems that, and according to the Epstein email written by Jeffrey Epstein, and I forget who he wrote this to, it was Witkoff or Bannon, he specifically says that Trump didn't own the LLC, even though it was in his name. Most likely, Ryblovev owned that LLC, who bought the mansion for 40 million, outbidding Epstein, and then Ryblovev himself bought the mansion from that Trump LLC for double its value. So Ryblovev funded Trump.
Laundering money.
Yes, but then when it goes even further, is they're talking. Epstein was talking about how MBS bought the Salvatore Mundi painting, which is only worth about maybe max $15 million, I think, from Ryblovev for $450 million. And what Epstein explains in the email, and I posted it, he explains that you don't pay something like that so outrageously if there aren't other things going on behind the scenes and you're trying to pay back, pay off, whatever. So the MBS did this after the election of 2016, after all these other things, after Trump and Jared helped him cover up the Khashoggi murder, and things point to the fact that Trump likely and Jared likely shared information with MBS that helped set up Jamal Khashoggi and him going to the embassy to his death. So you have to look at these things from a larger scale perspective. Just take the facts for what they are and what we know. It's all pretty obvious that there's a whole lot of Russian laundering money going on, along with
It's
Saudi Arabia, along with all these other people.
and again, the average everyday person who doesn't sit around and think about money laundering. You hear about this and you're like, how does this matter? Why is it a thing?
Well, and one thing, I had said for a while when Trump first took office in 2017, was somehow we went from thinking millions of dollars was a lot of money to talking in billions, and
Right.
millions didn't seem like a lot anymore. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
I'm so it's so frustrating. We've talked about this before, but when someone says, "Oh, but he's donating his salary," he being the president donating his what, $400,000 salary. Like for a normal person, that's a heck of a lot of money, and to think about a person donating that's a kind of an impressive feat. But when you think that the presidency was just a key to unlock the access to all these other nefarious money raising schemes, like that's absolutely nothing for him.
Well, and I think you hit it on the head earlier when you were saying that they're raiding our treasury. They're finding ways to move all of our
Yeah,
assets as a nation into their hands or the hands of their.
we're being robbed.
Yeah, we are being robbed. This brings me to Fort Knox. They every once in a while Fort Knox pops up. I said during his first presidency, in tweets, I was like, has anybody checked Fort Knox? Half jokingly,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
saw what was going on back then. And go ahead, Tina. I mean,
I feel like the Fort Knox situation pops up kind of like Johnny Gosh. And
yes.
so I feel like it's gonna I'm just telling you, my discernment is telling me something's up as well. So
And
I
there's
just
something
wanted to
with that
point
too,
that
because
out.
back in 2017, if you remember, there was that Russian cargo plane that was like in Siberia, and it took off, and like the back opened, and gold bars fell out of it. It was just a weird thing. But yes, I remember that. You hear me?
Happy birthday, Randy!
Happy birthday in a month. 59.
Ooh, next year
Yeah.
gonna be some celebration.
Well, why we're talking about all of this money laundering, fraud, illegal shit, let's talk about JD Vance just admitting that
Oh my
every
God,
12
this
hours
guy,
is equal to one Watergate
this guy.
essentially in this administration. On TV he said it like very openly. They're telling you.
Well, I thought about that a little earlier when we were talking. I think during the first administration, they were kind of doing all these things behind the scenes where we really didn't know, and things would leak and then it would become sensational, but we had so much going on, nobody was even paying attention. And my thing has always been that whatever they're putting in front of us to create distraction, whatever, is only part of, like, a tiny bit of what they don't want us to see that they're doing.
About as
Sure.
big as Trump's dick.
Yeah.
That big.
So and I think, them getting ahead of it now and saying stuff like that, like JD Vance saying that, some of the other stuff, it's just normalizing it so that if we hear it in the future, and that's part of their whole MO, is we put it out there, then when it actually breaks that, yeah, that's actually what we were doing.
Why is it a big deal? I casually am saying it. I've
Right.
said it casually so many times, it's casual now.
Oh, and by the way, now all the data centers are open, whether you like it or not, and we've got you under our control because you weren't paying attention because we distracted you with this other stupid shit.
And we're giving people 100 years because we've considered protesting now domestic terrorism.
Yeah. And then these flock cameras. What's going on with flock cameras?
They're obsessed with me. I should just start don't give me a ticket. Pull my shirt up. Actually, they'll be like, we're giving you 2 tickets for that.
Well, Trump put up a fence around the pool the other day, the reflecting pool, and then they put new cameras up.
They're
And
such babies.
And they have speakers on the cameras, basically telling people they pick up it's AI cameras. And I saw where there were 4 National Guardsmen who are guarding the pool. They weren't there for J6 on time, but they're there on time for the pool. And they're walking, and the AI speaker tells them this area is a non-loitering area because it just
Under his eye.
Yes.
Under his eye. That is Orwell 1984. Y'all better fucking wake the fuck up.
It's literally our
It's
reflection.
our pool. Yeah.
The
We the
pub-
people. It's our pool.
Yes, that's
You
it.
fucked up our pool, dude. You
No
fucked up our
loitering
pool,
at
and
the
now
pool.
no loitering. No loitering.
No running at
Jesus
by the
Christ.
pool. Just insanity.
What else do we have here? We had RFK, that video leak or the audio leak of him saying, "I will stop running my bid for presidency, but I need a place in the administration," which we already knew, but now we have
Again.
him saying it.
What are we gonna do about it?
He's gonna kill us all, fucking worm brain. Okay, and then also I wanted to point out the new passports because they're funny.
Oh yeah. But the RFK thing, real quick, is, and I pointed this out several times. In 2021, there's a picture of RFK with Mike Flynn, Roger Stone, and then a woman that people keep telling me who she is, but I don't know who she is. Another bad person, and it was promoting the Reawaken America tour. That was basically Mike Flynn's big thing. So this was in 2021, and I told people forever, even during the election period, I was like, RFK has been working for the Trump team for years.
Literally.
So,
Yeah.
and then what was the other thing you said besides the RFK thing? It was.
But we should end this episode talking about our new passports. We talked about UN passports. So DJT has revamped our passports, guys. It's very artistic. It says, "Welcome, but be good to your own country. Welcome, but be good." Right. Well, I wonder how much our new passports cost. Welcome, but be good. That goes along with our under his eye reflection pool, But why are you telling me welcome, be good to a place I live?
Yes.
Like I'm not a visitor. Welcome.
Obviously not thought through, or, I look at everything that they do stupid like that was well thought through, because it's just one more distraction. One more thing that we're talking
you're
about.
Right.
Not what, it's so.
Yeah, you're right.
So stupid.
So stupid. Welcome. Be good.
Welcome. Be good.
I'm going to get a sign for above my door that says welcome, be good. Okay? Be best. Daddy said be good. All right. I don't want him shaking his diaper anywhere, honestly. Tell Americans to be good. Yeah, see what happens. Okay. But okay, guys. Well, I gotta hop off, but Tony, thank you so much for all the things, and I will link all Tony's stuff below. And if anybody finds anything about the homework we gave you, we'd love to hear in the comments, or any ideas of any more deep dives that we should do, because we got all this time.
And we do have a website, which is poorly maintained but present. So you can go there and contact us too. It is whilewestillcanpod.com.
Well, and you could probably turn it into the White House leftist influencer of the day page if you would like, because
and we just got these magnets.
We got some propaganda for y'all.
There's some merch available there. I built some caps and some mugs and stuff. So if you're at home and you feel like you can't live without one.
Even though I don't have one yet, but that's okay. All right, guys. Well,
Bye,
on that
everybody.
note, bye. Thanks for
See you
listening.
later.